What is up, hustlers? On today's episode, I have Pamela Wagner joining me. She runs a digital marketing agency, HUSTLR Digital, where she specializes in helping 6 to 7 figure businesses grow efficiently and profitably through Google and Facebook advertising. So Pamela is a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, the first on this show, and I promise you many more to come. And a bit about her company. HUSTLR Digital is a certified Google partner, and since its inception has worked with 2,000 over advertisers all around the world. And she has helped companies advertise in more than 10 different languages. And one interesting fact about her is that she used to work for Google. That's where she saw, everything, the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and that's where she picked up her tools of her trade. And after quitting her job and starting her agency, she has been operating it completely location independently. To give you a perspective, she's visited and lived in over 80 different countries, and now she's based in Cape Town, South Africa. So Pamela sounds like a true digital hustler and a world traveler. If this kind of lifestyle is something that you're interested in learning more about, stay tuned to the end of this episode. Hey Pamela, pleasure to have you here today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do a little bit.
Hi Jeremy, awesome. Thanks for having me on here.
Pleasure.
So I basically run a global digital marketing company where we help 6 and 7 figure businesses grow through Google and Facebook ads. And that niche has developed from my background of working at Google already quite a while ago. And so it's been a good 4 years. We work with companies all over the world, pretty much from wherever we are. So the whole concept from the start was to work from where we want, when we want, with who we want, and how we want. Because I have the deep belief that our happiness comes first. Because without that, we are not able to make our clients happy.
Right. So what was your role in Google when you were working there?
I was an account strategist, so I was there for roughly a year, which was fun and it was great, but somehow I always knew that there was a little bit more outside.
Right, so that makes me wonder, that kind of answers my question, because I was wondering why you quit. Like working for Google, for most people, is like a dream job, isn't it? So did you always want to be a business owner?
So when I joined Google, it was a dream. It was a company that I honestly did not even imagine myself joining. I was asked to apply, and that's how it all started. And I knew people working there, so I had references. And what we see in movies and what people say about it is true. Like, you get all this free food, you have, like personal trainers there, you have an amazing gym, you have great colleagues. Like, the people that I met there are still my friends, business partners, mentors. So it's a great network that came out of it. One factor that was not that ideal, and so for the first time in my life, I moved to a country that I moved to work with Google for the job and not for the country, to put it this way. Right. So I was based in Ireland, and within 1 year, I'd only gone out without a check in once. So I noticed how important it is to have warm weather and sunshine around me. So that was a major factor. And I had a lot of goals being there, but I figured out that there's somehow more out there. And yes, it is, you get to this point where you're like, I should be happy. Like, everybody says I should be happy because I'm here, right? But I wasn't. And so I decided to give myself some time to explore and to figure out the options that there are. So I booked flights to go to the US, to discover New York, to go to visit Harvard, to visit Silicon Valley. And the whole point was to figure out what I actually wanted to do. And so for the first time in my life, I'd found myself in this situation where I did not have to go to any class. I did not have to study for an exam. I did not have to adhere to any boss's instructions. I did not have to do anything I didn't believe in. And it kind of was fascinating to me because suddenly it was all up to me. There was nobody else I could blame, right? It was only me. And so I started taking on the first like projects and jobs. And about 4 months after I left Google, I had made more money in a month than I've made at Google in a month. And so I was like, okay, this is somehow working. Like I've started to figure this out, right? And I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like there's no entrepreneur in a family. Everybody's been employed. And so I was like, okay, like I figured it out this far. I just now got to figure out how to take it further and make it sustainable.
Right.
So
So you
how it all
mentioned that,
started.
really interesting story, and I'm glad that you're happy here now. And you also mentioned that your team also works remotely. Is it? How big is your team now?
So we have about 5 to 6 people at any point in time. And yes, they all also work remotely because what kind of counts for me is like the boss of the company should of course also be valid for all the people that I work with. And so, yeah, right now we have people from the US to the Philippines pretty much.
Right. So, which makes me wonder, how do you pick up your skills when it comes to, how do you get good at what you do?
Right. So because we focus on Google Ads, I learned my craft, so to speak, at Google. And at the point when you're in Google, you don't realize how much you know. You only know when you're outside of the company. And I started seeing, wow, I actually have skills that A, people need, and B, people pay for. So like, let me use that to help them and to help their businesses grow. And I would say I learned the majority in Google, but a few things or a few key things I only learned outside when I was interacting with clients for a longer period of time. And could actually observe like, what is the impact of my actions?
Right. So also, one thing that I've noticed is that there are a ton of companies like these, offering Google ad services, Facebook ad services. So what sets Ajala Digital apart from the rest of the agencies?
It's a good question. It's something that I wondered about in the beginning. I was like, there's so many companies already out there doing this. Like, what am I going to do? Like, what's the difference I'm going to add here? And what I figured out very quickly is that yes, there are many companies offering this service, but very few offer it at the level that we do. And the main difference is because I used to work at Google. I know how it works from the back end, from the front end. It's super easy to adjust to all the changes that come all the time. And so far we've worked with over 2,000 advertisers. Like for a client to get that experience and to benefit from it, it's very rare because in a normal agency, when you get your account manager, that person usually works with about 8 to 10 clients maximum at any point in time. And most of the times, those people learn their craft outside of Google because many people just haven't worked at Google. And when you want to learn Google Ads outside of Google, there's so many different resources that it's very hard to know, okay, what's right or what's wrong. And one interesting distinction that we can see right now, like for people to know how to choose like what kind of agency to work with, is that last year in June, Google changed the brand name of AdWords to Google Ads. But still today, we see so many people saying AdWords and using AdWords. And it's a simple sign of who is updated, who's on top of their knowledge, who's really good, and who might still need some time to catch up, actually.
Right. So you think working in Google has given you the sort of unfair advantage when it comes to penetrating this industry?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think another point is also that we choose our clients. So we don't pitch, we don't bid for projects like most agencies do. Clients come and basically apply to work with us. Because the thing is, if I'm not happy with what a client does, or if I don't believe in what the client does and I don't feel good talking with them, communicating with them, it's not going to be a fun project. So first and foremost, I need to feel good. And a lot of agencies just take on clients just to cover costs.
Right. Interesting. I think that's a very interesting approach to approaching agency work, because it sort of puts you on a better negotiating position as well. You know, if people apply the work for you rather than you go out and pitch for clients, for example.
Yeah, it definitely makes the whole, like what we call client acquisition, much more efficient. And so we only ensure that we have fun, we enjoy what we're doing. And what we've noticed is when we focus on these areas where we've seen the best results, which is usually around 6-7 figure businesses, then the clients are happy and everyone's happy and their business grows and their revenue grows. And that's when it becomes really fun, because you can see that you're contributing to someone's business because you see the numbers going up. And that's very fulfilling.
Interesting. I guess, you know, if you're working with clients that align with your belief system and you get to bring results for them, everyone feels good, right? Okay, so Pamela, I have 2 questions that I ask most of my guests. It's more to give our audience an idea of, you know, how's it like getting started and what has changed over the years. Are you ready?
Yes.
So you mentioned you got your first project 4 months after quitting Google, right? How did you get your first client?
So 4 months after Google was actually when I made this, like, more money in a month than I made at Google. But right. I took on the project, I think 3 or 4 weeks after.
Okay, so 1 month.
Yeah, so I think I got it through Upwork. And then, so I registered myself on Upwork as a freelancer. And then also I'd slowly let my network know that, hey, I'm available for projects. And that's how then also the first project started coming in. So it was a mixture of Upwork and then my own network.
Right. So fast forward 4 years now. How do you get your customers now, and how did things change over the years?
Yeah. So 85% I would say is referrals. And then the rest, 15% is PR. So like articles that are written about me, or, you know, podcasts like this, or radio interviews. Like I just had someone reach out to me 2 days ago and was like, hey, I just remembered you again because I listened to a radio interview like with you 2 years ago. So like the good old PR still is very powerful. And yeah, we don't do Upwork at all anymore. Like I think I've stopped Upwork 3 years ago or so, because it's good when you get started, and it's good to get the first smaller projects, but I find it a little bit difficult to stand out the way the platform works for how we work. But in general, like Upwork is a great platform. Like I would recommend it to everyone who wants to get started.
Right. So how do you get all these referrals?
Either from current clients or from my network. And what I mean by my network is that I have been relatively active on Facebook and on LinkedIn over the last years. And through being part of different sub-networks. So like I used to work in a student organization for a long time. So I was with ISIC for 4 years. And then there is the Forbes community through like being a Forbes 30 under 30 honoree. There is my master's university, HULT. So different networks of people and them seeing me post about stuff. So simply through constantly, I would say, showing up, engaging, creating content on these platforms, and then people simply reaching out and saying, hey, I need you.
Right. So you mentioned you post stuff on Facebook and LinkedIn, but which platforms in particular work really well for you these days?
So I think the good old Facebook still works because I've been on it now for 11 years. And I've built a big network around the world where, like, I did this kind of like test once where I'm even better connected to Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. And so that reach of these people, the same on LinkedIn, roughly, and just people seeing you constantly show up. It's not something you can measure in a moment. Like often, you know, a content might only get a few likes or not even any comments, but I keep getting messages from people that say, hey, look, I've seen you show up over years and that's amazing, and let's work together.
Right. So so it's funny that your agency specializes in paid marketing, but it seems like your customer acquisition process comes organically.
Yes, so that's a very interesting point. We only do paid marketing when we host like special master classes or webinars, or sometimes we promote events through Facebook ads,
Right.
which has been pretty good, of course. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just like I've come to peace with the fact that a lot of people come to work with us because of me, and that's also a role I had to grow into, and that's okay. And so I'm like, I keep showing up, and people notice that, okay, there's some sort of sincerity there, and I don't need anybody's money, like I want to serve, and I want to like make your business grow if it's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, I usually help hint people into the right direction, whether that's needing a developer to get the website right, or needing someone for content marketing.
Right. So wait, I have this question, but I totally forgot. But I was talking about, okay, so if someone were to run their first AdWords or Facebook ad campaign, what separates a poor campaign and a great campaign?
Right. So I think where the biggest mistake happens in the beginning is with not the selection necessarily of keywords, but the setting of the keywords. So a lot of people just could put keywords into the campaign, and many of them, way too many often, but they forget the keyword match options. So to explain it shortly, a keyword match option is me telling Google when I want my ad to show up in terms of what kind of search term the user puts into Google. So if you just put in a keyword as such, let's say blue shoes, then Google will show you, or your ad will be eligible to show up even for terms like blue mattresses for kids, which of course is not useful. And
the broad match setting or something like that?
Yes, exactly. Yes, because it's broad match. And then the next one would be phrase match, where you tell people to like only show up if someone types in blue shoes or if something else adds to it. But what a lot of people don't know is there's an option in between, which is called the broad match modifier. So you can't select it as such, but you add a plus in front of each word. And that tells Google basically, show up my ad every time someone types in these words, but it can be in a different order. And of course, like singular, plural, misspellings don't matter. So you actually only need one keyword phrase once, and not like in all its different versions.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. That's for Google Ads. What about Facebook?
So there's two things that I see with Facebook going wrong usually. First, targeting with one ad set all platforms. So basically having the same ad showing up on story ads, on Instagram ads, on Facebook mobile feed, but they have all different formats. So it's usually helpful to split up these ad sets according to platforms, and then of course adjust the ads. And the second part is the targeting, where people just throw way too much targeting into one ad set and don't even look at the number that they're targeting. And often they're targeting millions of people, which is way too much usually, and way too broad.
Right. Okay. So I think that's like really, really powerful insights for people looking to start their own digital marketing agencies in the future. And also, I just want to pick on a point in our email conversation. You mentioned that you love focusing on the impact of positive thinking. So can you elaborate a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yes, so I tend to get quite nerdy about it because...
That's fine.
So I grew up not having the easiest childhood, right? Like I was bullied in school, I had like troubles at home and so on. But I was always good in school. and I was always good in sports. Like whatever I actually did, I was good at it. And so I didn't really have many friends until I grew up. I didn't really succumb to any, peer pressure or, barely drank alcohol or, smoked cigarettes, none of that. Because I was always very much aware of my mind. And back then I had no idea what I was doing. I was listening to a lot of Eminem, so he definitely helped a lot. But I always imagined that, well, even though my life right now, might be shit, I know it's going to be much better later on. And literally
what makes you think that though? That your life will be better later on?
Honestly, looking back, I don't remember it exactly. I can only imagine that it was through seeing different stories. The best one I can remember is really Eminem, like how he, struggled and then came out pretty well. And yeah, so I don't really know that, but so like fast forward 2013, I was at Awesomeness Fest by Mind Valley, and there was a meditation session happening. And I was like, you want me to sit down for like 20 minutes and be silent, like not do anything? It seemed impossible. But I sat down and I did it, and like I talked myself almost into it. And then I started doing certain meditations, and suddenly I noticed how what I was thinking about and visualizing would actually really come into play. Like within usually a week or two. And so that's how my interest in the field started. And I started studying it since then. So I'm now actually doing a second master's degree at Harvard Extension School in that. And
in what? In positive thinking? Or
yeah, so it's in psychology, but my focus is going to be in positive thinking and mindset, ideally. So, because literally what we think about like becomes true. And if we think negatively, anything negative impacts us like 7 times more than a positive thought. And so why not think positively in the first place? Because whatever we give our attention to is going to happen. And why negativity is so strong is because it comes from like thousands of years ago, when fear used to save us, because there were like saber-toothed tigers and whatever else around the corner. Like we needed to be really careful. There were a lot of dangers for us. But today,
and now we're anxious about, and most people now are anxious for not getting enough likes on their Instagram posts or whatever.
Exactly. And it really doesn't matter. And the thing is, when we have fear, it occupies our brain so much that we cannot focus on what is actually relevant and on like making the impact we want to have in this world. And so like positive thinking in so many ways has shown that, your well-being improves, your relationship improves, like everything improves in your life. And, you can get rid of depression, of like you can achieve anything you want, in short.
So let's talk a little bit about your personal experience from adopting this change in mindset, so to speak.
Yes. So I think, let me give you an example that might be a little bit controversial, but so I've been to 80 countries now, and I've never had anything dangerous happen to me in my life. And I've been to places like Pakistan, I've lived in Nigeria, like gone to many places. And the only thing that has ever happened to me was like 10 years ago in Nigeria, was someone stole money out of my suitcase, but that was only because I left it open, and I knew in the end who it was.
Did you get your money back?
No, I didn't, but it's okay. I mean, it's fine. But the thing is, like whenever I go to a new country, I did the same thing with Nigeria. I tend to leave all my like fears behind. Like I literally like sit down and I like let these fears go, and I kind of empty my mind almost, and I visualize a little bit how good of an experience I'm gonna have, how nice of people I'm gonna meet. And of course, in general, you're also careful, like, if in certain places you just don't go out alone in the night as a girl, and, don't get drunk and all these things. And I've seen people do that. And with time, you also learn to listen to your intuition. So, if you get a feeling you should go. And a lot of people don't actually listen to their intuition. And at the same time, let fear and stories that they've heard prevent them from actually going to a place and experience it as it is.
Cool. Very interesting. Because I'm not sure. Do you still meditate these days?
Yes.
Like what's your meditation practice like? Because I try to meditate 20 minutes every single day as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to hear your perspective on, I'm not even sure if I'm doing it correctly most of the time, to be honest.
Yeah, so I got started with the 6-phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani, and I sometimes do it. I would say maybe every second week or so, like these days. Other than that, I either focus on visualizing goals or gratitude, or sometimes also just breathing and letting thoughts go. So really kind of letting the mind become thought-free-ish. It doesn't yet work for that long, so I'm still practicing. But I needed to kind of keep myself in good energy and to focus on what is most important and what matters most to me.
Right. So how has, this change in mindset impacted your business life as well?
Okay, so I think the most important part from the beginning was that I had this clear intention of creating a business that I feel good about without working too much and having 80-hour weeks that a lot of people have. And right from the beginning, I was like, this is how I want it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know it can exist. And that's the difficulty often for a lot of people. It's hard to imagine something that we haven't seen yet, that we don't have around ourselves. And a lot of articles on the internet talk about hustling hard, working hard, but as a friend of mine recently said on a different podcast, she was like, well, if working hard can't be the solution, because look at Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, they have the same hours in a day. It cannot be working hard. And you're not you cannot be productive more than 5-6 hours a day. So really having that in mind and saying, you know what, this is my goal. I don't know the steps right now, but I'm going to figure it out. And just having that as a subconscious thought or a thought at the back of my mind has really helped me to stay very, very happy, very healthy, not overwork myself, and to really drive my business in a way that I want to, even though it might not be examples of someone having done it before.
Right. Very interesting. And I think it's very inspiring as well, saying that, if there's something that you want, don't tell yourself it's impossible, sort of, so to speak, correct? And your mind will automatically look for ways to help you achieve that. And I think being in the correct mindset will actually help you achieve something like that. So
yeah, because it's just to give a short example here, is because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm bad at math. And your brain literally goes in that moment, you're bad at math? Let me show you why you're bad at math, And so, of course, you can turn that around. If you say, oh, I'm good at doing business, your brain is going to be like, oh, okay, let me show you why you're good at doing business.
Very interesting. So it seems like, Pamela, you're living the life, you're working remotely all the time, you've traveled to 80 different countries. So tell me more about how your schedule looks like, how you juggle between your traveling, clients across different time zones and work.
Yeah, so I think clients across different time zones, to touch on that point first, has been very easy. And that probably comes back from my time of being part of ISIC, where I already worked with so many different people from countries all over the world. And so that switch is something that almost happens automatically. Yes, here and there, every couple of months it happens, that I've mistaken a time zone, and that's okay, that happens. In general, like how I've structured a day or a week is that I try not to do client meetings more than 2 to 3 days a week, and keep 2 days free of any meetings. So for just creating and doing work. And working out is super important for me, sports. So I've already at the age of 9, I started doing competitive sports, and that was good because it created that habit for me very early on. So now I need to do sports like 4 to 5 times a week. Like
what sports in particular?
High intensity interval training.
Yeah.
Because that's something I could do everywhere. And then, running or hiking, depending on where I'm at and what I have available. And then, in the morning, meditate, work out, have my bulletproof coffee. So that's also had a big impact on my health. Get my day started somewhat around 8 or 9 usually. Sometimes I also have like morning. So sometimes what I do when I want to get something done is I get up at 5:30, have the first half hour for coffee meditation, and then from 6 to 9 in the morning, work on that thing I want to get done. Nobody disturbs you. It's perfect productivity time, and you get up at 9, like you get up from a chair at 9 and you're like, oh my God, I've literally done everything I wanted already for the day. So really kind of trying to figure out what are good times for me to work and be productive at.
Right. So how many hours do you sleep per day? Do you sleep fairly regular hours?
I need 9 hours.
That's perfect, So you sleep at, say, 9 p.m. most days?
Ideally, so usually I tend to sleep between 9:30, 10 p.m. Yeah.
That's cool because like personally, I'm having a lot of trouble sticking to a consistent sleep schedule. So what has really helped for you in that sense?
So the thing is, since secondary school, I'm used to getting up at 5:30 in the morning. And really for me, getting up in the morning is super important because it's such a calm and productive time. And if I get up later, like if I get up after 7:30, the morning is gone so quickly and I feel like I haven't done anything. So it motivates me to have this productive time in the morning. And if you get up early, you also become tired earlier. And if that doesn't work, then usually I would look at caffeine intake. Or, maybe people eat food, like, if you eat sugar shortly before going to sleep, that also is not that helpful. So try out different things and see, like always, work on one variable and change that. Ideally for 2 to 3 weeks, observe it. The body adjusts fairly quickly.
Right. Okay. I'll try my best to adjust my body. Okay, so one more question. I wanted to know if you've had any mistakes in the past or something that you would have done differently if you could start all over again.
I think, so in general, I live life in a way that I do not have regrets. Mm-hmm. But I think something that we all need to work on much earlier is our mindset around money. And it's something we're not being taught, and often, and even people who talk about it, are perceived as like, not really clickbait, but it's like some kind of mistrust, because especially like in like Europe and North America, it's something you don't talk about. Mm-hmm. And it's not something you really get education on in school, but it is really what holds most people back from actually, really getting the life that they want. So to give you one example, I grew up with this thought that anybody who makes more than a certain amount of money, more than like 4 figures a month, should give the most portion of their money away. Like, why are you making so much money? Why do you need so much? It is a scarcity mindset. But it actually didn't help me. So what actually ended up happening is that I would spend all the money I was getting because of the subconscious belief that I actually don't deserve it. Mm-hmm. And so I had to work on that for my own financial security, for building up, of course, financial success, and really also working on bigger opportunities.
Yeah, because I totally get you, because I have the same, I was going through the same thing previously, and I would just blow whatever I earn on stuff that I don't need. But if you accumulate this wealth, it just makes you do what you want to do better. When you have more money, you get to help more people, for example. Like, look at Bill Gates. He's a billionaire and he's donating billions of dollars to charity and stuff like that. Okay, last question for you. What's happening in the near future for you and your company?
So one part that started to kind of really take off is that I'm also a professor at the university in Vienna. And so teaching Google Ads, and there has been a lot of interest around that from other universities too. So working more on the teaching and training side. And then we're also going to focus on having more people in the Google Ads course that I created. Mm-hmm. So it's a great tool for people who just want to get started and those that want to know or want to have the security, they're on the right track and they're learning the right things that they need to know. So that is another big focus. And then we've been really silent in terms of client testimonials and case studies. So that's something where we're going to create a little bit more of. And I guess spreading a little bit more the message of hey, look, you don't need to hustle hard, just work smart and live a bit more.
Awesome. So best of luck with whatever you have on your plate for the next few years. And I just want to say that you make me very jealous of your lifestyle. Okay, Pamela. So before we end this episode, is there anything else that you'd like to add on to our audience?
Whatever limiting beliefs you have or negative beliefs you have around working smart and actually living the life you want, get rid of it, because all those beliefs were learned at one point, which means you can unlearn them and learn any beliefs that serve you better. And so really understand that fear is only in your mind, but it doesn't serve you anymore. So let go of it to really experience life at the fullest that you can.
Okay, cool. So happy to have you on the episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be sure to include your LinkedIn profile and your websites underneath the show notes so our audience can check it out, okay?
Yeah, sure. There is, so I recently recorded a kind of webinar, you could say. It's already so much used term, but people kept asking me for it because most of the people that get to know me are oh my God, can I live in your shoes for a week? Or you're living the dream and so on. And yes, I am living my dream, but everybody should do that. And so for people that are interested, you can go to locationindependent.today and learn more about a couple of beliefs that I had to change to get to where I am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Jeremy. It was a pleasure.
I'm always trying to make this show better, and I want to hear what you think about this episode. I want you to head over to www.hustler.com/feedback and let me know what you liked about this episode, what you didn't like about this episode, what you want to hear more of, what you don't want to hear more of. I want to hear from you because I want to make this show better for you, my dear hustlers. And one more thing, if you know someone, a loved one, a friend, a family member who would benefit from this episode, please share this episode with that person. Okay? See you in the next episode.